September 25th, which means that in just a few days on October 1st, your eBay fees might increase, and you might not even be aware of it. So I want to talk about that first before I start answering any questions you guys might have about eBay or Amazon dropshipping. I saved up a bunch of questions from the week, and we have a bunch of people already in the live chat waiting with their questions. So I do these almost every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you don't want to miss out on the video live, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification underneath the video so you get an alert every time I do go live. So what am I talking about here with this new potential fee increase? Well, let me go ahead and share my screen right here. And you should see what is the eBay summer update from this past summer. And here is where they start talking about their new service metrics, as they call them. They actually alluded to these back in the 2008 spring seller update, but they weren't really clear back then on what it would mean. So now they're saying that you now have access to these metrics that shows you how often you receive return requests for item not as described, how often you receive buyer requests for item not received, and how you compare with these compared to your peers. They call them peer benchmarks. Well, buried in here in the FAQ, kind of hidden under one of these, you actually have to open this up. It says, what are the consequences of having very high rates of item not as described or item not received? So if you have a very high rate rather, of item not described cases, you get an additional 4% fee in the affected categories. And for item not received, if you have a very high rate of item not received cases, there will be time added to your delivery estimates, which buyers will be able to see. Now, this isn't really clear when I first read it, what all this meant, what was meant by very high. It was just a little bit confusing to me. But now that we've been able to see these metrics, it's starting to make more sense. So I do want to show you it because one of the things eBay doesn't do well here is tell you how to access these metrics. So what you'll do is you'll go into your eBay account. And this is one that I just use for YouTube videos, so it's not my main account, just as an FYI, full disclosure there. Once you're on eBay.com, you'll click where it says My eBay, and then click on Selling. This is the fastest way I found to find it. Then you want to come where it says Performance, and the last one, you just hover over Performance. The last one says Service Metrics. Go ahead and click on that. And this is where all the information will be. This first tab will show you item not described cases. The second one will show you item not received percentages, rather. Right now, this doesn't show anything because this account has no sales history on it. So let me go ahead and show you a clip I took of my main account so you can see exactly what it looks like. Just pull that up from my... Okay. So you should be able to see this video now. And what this is showing you is up here at the top, you'll see that it says the listing site is ebay.com, and next to it says the category, because each category is going to be impacted differently. So these are showing all the item not as described returns. And you see that line down the middle. It starts with red at the top, then orange, underneath it's yellow, and then green. That's kind of showing you how many item not as described returns you have compared to the average eBay seller selling in this category, which you see at the top is home and garden. So you see where it says peers. Peers is 0.69%. That's the average. I'm just slightly above average at 0.71%. So again, they're calling these peer metrics, and they're kind of using that as a benchmark. If you're average or even high, you're fine. Obviously, if you're low, you're fine. It's only when you get to very high that's a problem. So let's look at another category, business and industrial. You'll see average in there. Cell phone and accessories, for some reason, there's no peer benchmarks for this one. Let's see what else we have. Health and beauty. Again, no peer metrics for this one for some reason. And pet supplies, you see I'm very low rate for that. So if, for instance, in this one, pets and supplies, I was very high, then I would be charged an additional 4% fee just for these items, just for items in this category. And that's what that 4% fee is all about. But for all the other categories, as long as I was high, average, or low, I wouldn't be charged the 4%. Now, there was a rumor that this 4% fee wasn't going to be implemented October 1st, but that's not true. That's only for UK sellers. Sellers on eBay.com will be hit with this fee if they have a category that is very high for item not as described returns. So let's see what else we have here. Check one more of these categories. Crafts. You see I'm very low there as well. So the second thing I want to show you is item not described cases, or item not received cases. You'll see here I'm getting hit. I have potential to get hit with this one. The peer metrics is 0.28% of your transactions result in a item not received request. This is saying that 1.43% of mine result in an item not received request. And that counts as very high, just barely very high. I could probably get it lower with some work. But one of the things it's saying is that I have, over the past 3 months, if you look on the top right, this benchmark is based on the last 3 months. For most people who are drop shippers, it's going to be based on the past 3 months if you have a high volume of sales. I forget what the exact cutoff is. For people without that high volume of sales, it's based on the past year, I believe. But this is saying in the past 3 months, I've had 207 item not received cases. Now, I looked into it, and that number doesn't look right to me. I don't know why it's so much higher here than based on what I saw. So I'm looking into why that is. And I called eBay and they don't really know. They say that this is accurate. So I'm not quite sure what is going on there. But I did have some other information about this. So let me switch over and pull that up, some notes I had on it. And by the way, this question was asked by one of my students, and also like a great guy here that I met during the first Dropshipping Titans meetup in New York City. Brian Williams had a question about this, wanted to know more information about this. So this video is for Brian Williams. So the questions that people have about this that aren't quite clear is, what happens if a buyer opens an item not received request and then it's found in the seller's favor, or it's withdrawn? Like, what happens then? eBay has said that it won't impact us, but a lot of sellers I'm seeing on the forum saying that it does count against them. So obviously not implemented as well as it should be right now. So what can you do about this? Well, for the return cases, the best thing that you can do to avoid item not as described returns, the number one thing that I would recommend that you do is just try to get more sales. You get more sales, chances are more of them will be a good experience, and that will kind of bury the returns, and they'll get less of an impact on your metrics overall. Another thing you can do for those types of to avoid returns is to send automated messages to your buyers every time an item is purchased, every time an item ships out, and sometimes you can even do it when it's delivered, letting them know your item is on your way or thanks for your order. By the way, if you have any issues, don't open up a return, don't open up a case. Send me a message right away, and I promise I will go above and beyond to make it right for you, but you have to send that message first. And I've been doing that, and I find that that does help. The other thing you might want to keep in mind is that if you're getting this 4% fee in a category that you don't really sell a lot in anyway, maybe it's something you don't really want to worry about too much at all. So that's what I would recommend if you're worried about the 4% fee. For myself, when I'm having a very high rate of item not received cases, I'm just going to work on making sure that my tracking numbers are uploaded better. That's something I could definitely work on. And also just general customer service, hoping to answer customer questions sooner, especially about deliveries, so that those cases aren't open. Now, I did mention that we had the meetup here in New York City, the first ever Dropshipping Titans meetup. And at that, we had a great turnout. So thank you everyone who came. During that meetup, I kind of gave a presentation about how you should be preparing for Q4. So if you are a member of the course, that was recorded and that's now inside the course. So make sure that you don't miss out that video, because Q4 is a huge time of year. You have the potential to make a lot of money if you go in with the right plan. And I've kind of laid out a step-by-step plan for you in that video, which is now inside the course for those of you who are members. So let's see who's here now in the live chat. We have Tahir, looks to be the first one here. Paul L, the other Paul L. Phil Clark back, so welcome Phil and Paul. Dusty is back as well. Thank you for joining us, Dusty, and Sea Monkeys. Richard's here. Chewbacca's back from South Carolina. Victor in from Maryland again, and Anita's here. Sometimes Anita misses the live chat, so thanks for joining us, Anita. So hopefully I answered your question, Giovanni, about all the fees, and hopefully that cleared everything up for you. All right. And Rich makes a really, really good point, which is that the problem with this is that buyers are not always accurate with the reason for their returns. There needs to be a seller advocacy group. I completely agree, because sometimes buyers, they think, oh, if I want to return this item and I don't want to get don't want to pay to ship it back, then all I have to say is that the item is not as described and I'm off the hook. And they're right, but that's not right. So that's part of the problem right there, and eBay needs to be aware of that, and they need to make this process easier for us. Like, I don't want to have to call in every time a buyer lies about the reason for the return. It takes up way too much time, especially as a drop shipper where you're getting such high volume of sales. And Paul L is shaming me for my metrics. Ruben Red is here, so he's giving a shout out to Brian Williams, who asked the question about the 4% fees, and Ruben was also at the meetup as well. So welcome, Ruben. Adam as well was there, so welcome, Adam. See if anyone has questions here. No. Gerard saying, is it too late to start drop shipping during Q4? Absolutely not. I don't think so at all. I think any time is really a good time to get started. And by that, I just mean don't use the time of year as an excuse. I know a lot of people would say that summer is a bad time to start drop shipping because it's slower. Retail sales are always slower in the summer. And other people might say, oh, Q4 is a bad time to start because it's too late by then, or it's just too hectic by then. You can keep making these excuses over and over again. Or you can say, you know what, I'm just going to get started. I'm just going to go for it, and then don't even worry about the time of year. I started Amazon dropshipping during Q4. The only thing I will say is that for that one, the sales were just, we couldn't keep up with the sales with everything else we had going on. So make sure that you're really committed to it before you get started. Susie is here, her first time in the live chat. So I want to make sure I get some questions here. Okay, so I had a question from, another update is about managed payments. It appears that this is what eBay is calling their new integrated payment system with Adyen. So for those of you who are familiar with eBay, you know that as of the making of this video, most purchases on eBay are made with PayPal. So someone goes onto eBay, buys something, and then they actually don't pay for it right away in a lot of cases. They actually then go to PayPal and pay for it, and the whole thing is pretty much integrated. But now eBay is moving over to moving away from PayPal and getting their own payment system inside of eBay. They promise it will make it easier for us as sellers, more streamlined, easier invoicing, easier bookkeeping, and they said maybe even lower fees. I don't know if I believe that though. So that's the plan, and they have invited many sellers. I don't know if you got an email, but I definitely got an email letting me know that I can now opt into these managed payments. The problem with them is that if you opt into managed payments, then buyers can't use PayPal to buy your items. And that's going to exclude a lot of buyers. I don't think buyers are fully informed about this new system yet. So buyers who see it aren't really going to understand why they can't pay with PayPal. And my fear is that if they see my listing and they can't buy with PayPal, they're just going to move on to another listing that will let them pay with PayPal. Now, eBay said that starting in the summer of 2019, if you're using managed payments, they will also let you use PayPal as an option, but that's not available yet. And also, if you use managed payments, you can't use the global shipping program either. So that's an issue as well. And as far as I know, once you sign up for it, you can't go back. So lots of issues. I'm not going to opt into it yet because of those issues that I'm not crazy about. So one of the questions was from Terry this week. Terry asked this underneath one of my videos. Terry wants to know if it's really necessary to hire a virtual assistant. Is it something that you need? And I'll say that I don't think you need it. I don't think you need a virtual assistant. I think that, especially in the beginning, I think at some point when you're scaling up, you will need one if you want to continue to scale up. But in the beginning, I don't think you need one in the beginning. I think actually a lot of it should be done on your own so that you understand the whole system and how it works, all the different moving pieces. And then when you're ready to hire a virtual assistant, you'll understand the whole process and can teach that virtual assistant the whole process or whatever parts you want them to learn. But I don't think you really can teach someone that until you know it yourself. But absolutely, in the beginning, I don't think it's necessary, especially if you're able to spend a lot of time on this. Okay. Okay, so Lazy Abram asks a great question. What do you do when a user claims, a buyer claims that it was an unauthorized charge? You'll get this sometimes. You will get a email saying that this sale has been canceled by eBay because the buyer reported that it was an unauthorized charge. So the best thing to do here is if you haven't placed the order yet on your supplier's website, then obviously don't place it. If you have placed it, contact the supplier and see if you can cancel the order. Now, if it's too late to cancel or the item has already shipped out, then make sure the tracking number is uploaded and then call eBay and tell them, you sent this email to me too late. I already shipped out the item. Here's the tracking number, and they will reimburse you for everything. Okay, so Susie is saying that she is a month and a half into dropshipping and she's been getting contacted directly by some virtual assistants asking them to hire, asking for a hire. Would you hire someone that contacts you directly? So I'm assuming, Susie, that they are contacting you through Facebook. I've never hired one of these virtual assistants that has reached out to me through Facebook. Part of the reason I don't do that is because of paranoia on my part. Obviously, I'm putting myself out there. I'm speaking publicly about eBay and eBay dropshipping, and that puts me at a certain risk in some regards, especially when I show things like inside eBay account. Is always a risk that will expose my store, and then people come and snipe me, which is why I use that fake account, which I was showing you before. So my fear is always that this virtual assistant, I hire them through Facebook, or who contacts me through Facebook. Things don't work out. Now they're mad at me, and they know who I am publicly, and I don't know, they do something and expose me. That's always been my fear. That's why I don't hire them. And just in general, I don't hire them through Facebook either, because there's websites devoted to this, right? We have onlinejobs.ph, which is a website I use and love to hire virtual assistants from, and there's a link to that underneath this video if you're interested in that. That is an affiliate link though, and if you hire through that, these virtual assistants, they're trained, not trained. You can find ones that have been trained to do eBay or Amazon dropshipping in the past, and hire someone who's highly qualified through that on a website that's designed for hiring virtual assistants, and that's. I feel like it's a little bit more professional, and that's where I choose to hire them from. Okay. So Richard's saying, what's the benefits of graduating from PayPal jail? Because I just graduated today. So Richard, congratulations on your graduation. I've never heard it put that way, but I really like that. So PayPal jail is just a probation period for about 3 months when you first start selling. PayPal will hold your funds until the item has been marked as delivered, and then a few days later, they release the funds to you. Really, the benefit of PayPal jail is that they will release your funds to you right away. Again, I'm making this video in September 2018. We'll see what happens once eBay switches over to their own payment processing system built into eBay. Okay. All right, Kevin is asking another question about virtual assistants. How much should we be paying virtual assistants? That depends on many factors. The first one is where you hire them from. And the second one is, I guess there's really only 3 factors. First, where you hire them from. Second, what task you're having them do. And 3, their experience. So generally, the website I hire from, again, is Online Jobs. There's an affiliate link to that in the description of this video. Great thing about that is that most of those virtual assistants I can pay $2 an hour. And the reason for that is because Online Jobs doesn't take a cut of the money that I pay them. It's just a place to get connected with the virtual assistants, and then I work out the payments on my own, and nobody takes a cut of it. So $2 is fine there. Other websites you'll have to pay more because they take a cut of it. The second factor is what tasks you are hiring them to do. Simple things like listing items or order fulfillment, $2 an hour is fine. Something like customer service, though, is going to be more money. I have one virtual assistant who's like kind of in charge, and she gets paid $4.50 an hour, for instance. And there's some in the middle that are making about $3 an hour. And then the third thing, obviously, is their experience. The more experienced they are, the more you might want to pay them so that you can secure them and keep them on as employees. And of course, you can always send them bonuses, which I always think is a really good idea. This can either be performance-based or during certain holidays, or if your sales on your store are doing really well. This is what Brian Williams was telling me, was that when his store does really well, he rewards his virtual assistants and gives them big bonuses if the store is doing well also. Bijay is saying, when are you going to bring back your VA course? It never went anywhere, actually. So if you can check it out. It's at supersimplevas.com, supersimplevas.com, or you can just go to dropshippingtitans.com courses, I think, to see all my courses. Let me double check that before I start spitting that out when it might not be true. Yeah, just go to dropshippingtitans.com // courses to see all the courses that I have available. Right now there's 2. It's obviously Dropshipping Titans, which is the main one, and then Super Simple VAs. Speaking of which, I wanted to welcome some new members into the course who joined this week. So we have Ryan, Jason, Walter, Carter, Asan, and John. Everyone, welcome to the course. Also, Vinia, Jean, Rena, Ellie, Thomas, Doug, Jason, Jordan, Carlos, and Edberg, as well as Michelle, Dom, CJ, Jimmy, and Oscar. Welcome, everyone, to the course. And hopefully you all can join us at a meetup in the future when I have one again, because it was a lot of fun, the one that we had. And a big shout out to one of my students, Brian in Sacramento. Really had my back today. If you're listening, Brian, you know why, and thank you for that. So I had another question here from Felipe. Felipe said, do you sell as an individual or as an LLC? I've already started to sell things online, but I'm not sure if I'm going to open an LLC or not. So that's really up to you. What you can do is start selling as an individual, and then later you can start up an LLC if that's what you want to do. That's what I'll say a lot of people do and what I did. But you don't necessarily have to do that. You can start an LLC right away if you want, but certainly you don't have to, is what most people do, I'd say. So we have Luxury Card Store says, I just received my first order from Banggood and it was damaged beyond repair. How are your Banggood orders working out for you? So great question. So basically I had made a video about Banggood, and I was showing in that video that the first one that I bought kind of arrived damaged. And I'll link up that video above this one. Above this one, if you guys want to check that out, if you're watching this on the replay. And that one came a little damaged, and then it was a long process to get it replaced. But I have been trying it. I've been trying to avoid items that would be damaged or have issues. The item that I bought to test was a little drone, and here it is. This little mini drone that I fly around. Once I got one that works, it's really fun. But it was a real pain to get it because it took a lot of work. Actually, this one just broke. Oops. Anyway, so I've been avoiding little electronics like that, sticking to other stuff, and it has been working. The returns, I actually haven't gotten many returns, but I'll be talking more about that in the future if it really works out. Really depends on how well it works. But I haven't had a lot of returns since I started doing it. When should you start listening? Okay, so let me answer some more questions I had from this week. Kind of answered that one. So TY says, I've heard so many people report PayPal suspending their accounts because of dropshipping. How do you get around this huge concern? I get questions like this, and I get questions, people asking me, how do I avoid getting suspended on Amazon for using Amazon Prime for dropshipping? And I don't understand these questions, to be honest, where people are getting these concerns from. I understand that they're valid concerns, something that people might be worried about, but I don't hear about people getting banned anymore from Amazon for using Amazon Prime to dropship from. I've heard rumors that it used to happen in the past, but I don't know anyone it's happened to in a long time. And as far as people getting suspended from PayPal for dropshipping, that's something I've never heard of either. I have heard of people getting suspended for other reasons, but not specifically for drop shipping. And I do know for myself that I was placed on a temporary hold with PayPal when my sales really started to take off. All I had to do was call in. They told me what information they wanted. It was a copy of my driver's license. It was any sort of mail that showed my physical address. I think it might have been one other form of identification. Faxed that all to them, or might have even scanned and emailed it to them. And then it didn't get off the phone with them until they lifted the suspension. Now, the suspension didn't stop my sales. I was still able to get sales. I just couldn't withdraw my money. But I don't like keeping my money in PayPal because I've always feared that they would suspend me like this in the future. So I always withdraw my money into my bank account multiple times a week to avoid leaving any large sums of money inside PayPal for that reason. Okay, so Gerard says, do you set the number of hours your VAs have to work each week, or do they submit some kind of timesheet each week? Yeah, so most of the tasks are not time-based. They're like action-based. So order fulfillment, that is, they just have to keep working until they're finished. Customer service, same thing. The only one that's really time-based is listing. How many listings they can do within a certain period of time. So my lister works 3 to 4 hours a day, and she just keeps track of her time. Well, they all keep track of how many hours they work, and they keep track of it in a timesheet. Now, when they're using Upwork, if you're using Upwork, that will automatically track the time for you. There is another one built into online jobs if you want to use it, but a big secret is I don't ever look at them. I did when I first started. When I first hire someone, I'll monitor their work, make sure they're doing a good job. And I'd say like every 3 months or so, I'll do sort of an audit, go in, look at their timesheets, make sure they make sense compared to the amount of work they're doing, really check their work over to make sure they're still doing it correctly. But once you get them rolling, they're really good about consistently doing it if you have a really A+ team of virtual assistants. So that's something I always encourage people to do is make sure you're getting an A team when it comes to VAs. You'll get virtual assistants who can do the job, but you could tell they're not really invested in it. They don't really maybe even like it so much, or they're not really going above and beyond. They're just doing the minimum. And to a degree, that's okay. But I know I can count on so many of my VAs whenever I need them. I had one call out sick once, or no, it was a typhoon. So she didn't have power. So the other VA's like, I'll do it. I'll do my work and her work. And he did all of it, which is fantastic. And he got a bonus for that. So that's what I mean. I want people on my team that are going to go above and beyond. And that does take time. It takes going through maybe a few VAs, and also takes patience and understanding on my part of what to look for during the hiring process when it comes to asking the right questions when hiring a virtual assistant, and training them the correct way, and setting up communication with them up front in the correct way. And that's why I spent so much time talking about all these pre-things, all these things you have to do before hiring a virtual assistant. That's why I spend so much time talking about it inside my course, Super Simple VAs, because I do think that is so critical for building that A+ team of virtual assistants that is really critical for running a super successful dropshipping store on eBay. Lots of people asking questions, and other people are already answering the questions, so thank you for that. So Ted asked the same question twice. So I want to address it. Basically, Ted's asking, I noticed that some sellers offer a warranty on the electric type items they sell. I remember $299 for 2 years. Are you familiar with this? Do you offer it? How do we offer it? I'm not really that familiar with it, to be honest. I'm just going to be completely honest. I don't know much about it. I'm pretty sure that these are offered through eBay and eBay gets the money, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. But I just want to let you know that I did see your comment, but I really just don't know. So Ronald is saying, do you recommend sending your products out to photographers for better pictures? Ronald, what I teach on this channel or talk about, and learn along with you guys is about drop shipping. And with drop shipping, you don't actually have the physical products in your control. So the person on your buyer purchases the item. Once they purchase it, I buy the item on my source's website like Walmart, Home Depot, Amazon, and I ship it directly to the customer. So I never see the products. So we're using stock images supplied by the manufacturers, which are usually pretty good. And because they're in new condition, we can use those stock images. We don't have to worry about taking photographs or writing our own descriptions. That's all done for us as drop shippers, since we are utilizing these images and copies supplied by the manufacturers. So no, I don't send them out to photographers for that reason. That's more if you're doing like retail arbitrage or going to thrift stores, that sort of thing. And we got a super chat here from Dropship Tyler. Says, no way these policies are sustainable for eBay. Talking about what we talked about early in the video. I completely agree. eBay claims that they are making these policies to make the experience better for buyers on the platform. But we all know that, or maybe you don't know this, that eBay's, they talked during one of their investor meetings that they are looking for ways to make more money for their investors. And what's the easiest way for them to do it, they believe? That's to increase fees for us as sellers. So that's what they are attempting to do and trying to justify it, I think, with this new metrics policy that just doesn't really seem sustainable. So I have to agree with Tyler that I just don't think it's really a sustainable idea for eBay, but they're going to do it. Okay, so Alan's asking, what is a great source to source from when you are first starting? I think the two best ones are Amazon and Walmart. And specifically, what's great about Amazon is that there's just so many items on Amazon that you can choose from to dropship. So many. So it's really easy to find some, like a wide variety of items. You can test out different niches, see what's working for you. And same thing with Walmart. There's just so many items, and they're just super easy to deal with, especially Amazon. Very, very fast shipping. You get free shipping on almost all orders if you use Prime. So really dropship friendly for beginners. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Adrian says, no, answer that question. One of my students, Aylin, said, how does everyone deal with the new service metrics? Okay, answer that one too. Shimmy says, okay, Shimmy's one of my students. Shimmy said the customer sent them a message saying they didn't get the package and the shipper didn't call to say where it was left. But the tracking number shows that the item was delivered. What should I do? So if the tracking number shows it was delivered, then you're good. You're off the hook. Once it shows it's delivered, you're fine. Now, sometimes what can happen is that they might open up a item not received case, but if the tracking number is uploaded, you're fine. sometimes it starts to look weird if the buyer opens up a claim or a case with UPS. Then what sometimes happens is when you track the order, it says it says it was delivered, and then the next step says we are investigating the location of it, and it will say that it's not delivered anymore. But so some eBay reps get confused by that, and they see just the last thing, which says that it wasn't delivered, even though it was, and they think, oh, the item wasn't delivered. So just make sure that if an item not received case is open, that you call eBay and let them know this item was delivered. Here's the tracking number. It shows it was delivered. Then the buyer opened up a claim, which is why it's showing that there is an investigation, but UPS is still saying that it was delivered, and they should close it in your favor as long as the rep understands all of that. And thank you, John, for clarifying what I said before, talking about tracking virtual assistants hours on online jobs. John says Timeproof, which is the tracking software on online jobs, is fantastic to use for keeping track of time, not necessary for big brother to watch. Yeah, exactly. Like, just think of yourself doing a job. Do you want someone constantly looking over your shoulder, watching what you're doing, micromanaging you? No. I find for myself, I work better when I'm given a task and I just go and do it, and it can come back with any questions I have and for the work to be reviewed later. It's not nice having someone watch over your shoulder like that, and I find them less productive when that's the case. And I think it's the same thing for these virtual assistants as well. Okay, and thank you, Susie, for this great compliment. It says the tax-exempt portion of the course is worth the full price of the course. I thought I could do it myself. No way. And I agree. Becoming tax-exempt is really confusing. It took me a long time to figure it out. Robert has a question. Is the Dropshipping Titans course useful for finding products or for learning how to list them properly? And yeah, Robert, I cover both of those inside the course. I try to cover everything in that course: how to set up eBay, how to set up PayPal, how to find items, how to list them, how to do customer service. It's like an A to Z complete beginner's guide, and even advanced topics for how to dropship onto eBay. All right, let's see what else I have here. I think I pretty much answered all these already. Let's see what else we have in the chat. Let's see. Okay, and Phil gives a good suggestion because someone was asking, when you're drop shipping from Amazon, how do you avoid problems where the customer claims that they don't get the item? And Phil's right. If you use TrackerBot, and I do have an affiliate link to that underneath this video, but that's only because I only recommend that because I personally use it and love it. TrackerBot will automatically upload tracking numbers from your Gmail account into eBay. And with the great thing, actually this one, it will connect up. And the great thing about it is that it even works with Amazon logistics tracking. Amazon Logistics is Amazon's own shipping company. And normally eBay won't accept those tracking numbers, but TrackerBot kind of found a really cool, clever way to get around that works with eBay if a person is claiming that they never received their item. You can use TrackerBot and kind of get off the hook there. Okay. Okay, so Robert's saying, how do you get out of PayPal jail, which we talked about before, that probation period? All you have to do is for every item that you sell, make sure to upload a tracking number on time, and then make sure those items are delivered. After enough of those, and after 3 months, you'll get out of PayPal. You'll graduate from PayPal jail. Sometimes you'll even graduate early. Believe it or not, they will let you out depending on your sales volume, I think. Bobby's asking, Paul, what do you do when a virtual assistant is stumped and needs to know something at that moment in time, but you are in a different time zone? So maybe you're asleep, for instance. My experience is that there's never something with eBay dropshipping that is so pressing that they need the answer right then. And I used to believe that things could go catastrophically wrong in an instant, but I've just found that it's not true. Because of the way eBay is set up, we get some like pull there. We get some leniency there. So if things don't go 100% smoothly for one night, it's okay, I found. And things, you have time to catch up and to make them right. So I find that there are no issues that need to be addressed right away. But one thing that helps, again, is to have really well-trained virtual assistants who really know all the problems that could arise. So usually the structure of my training is I'll train them on the basics, the basic task I want them to do and how it should go if everything goes smoothly. And that will get them through 95% of their work, maybe even more. Then once they get the hang of that, I'll maybe say to them, sometimes these issues will come up. And if they do, here's what I want you to do. Usually, though, I don't even bother doing that. I usually wait for the problem to happen. And then when it happens, I say, okay, this is how I want you to solve this problem. And this is how I want you to do it from now on. And the reason I do it like that is because it gives it more context. If I try to describe a problem that hasn't happened yet, it could be a little confusing, especially given the language barrier. So I find it helps to wait for the actual problem to arise first, and then kind of describe and walk them through how to deal with them. I also want to say something else about training virtual assistants that came up for me recently. I've found that if you change even one little thing, you kind of have to start all over and explain the whole process over again. So I changed one little thing for my virtual assistant and said, okay, from now on, for step 2, instead of doing this, do this. And what I found was that she did step 1, and then she did step 2, and then she stopped. Because that's when I stopped the video, the training video. She didn't realize that I then wanted her to go on to step 3 and 4, just like she used to do. And she just couldn't understand that was just the step 2 I was showing was just replacing the old step 2. So now I had to make a new video showing step 1, the new step 2, then step 3, then step 4, all in one video. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe, again, I think it might be the language barrier there. Okay. Yeah, so Untouchable TJ is saying, sometimes I can't ship items to California because of Proposition 65. That's just a law in California that it's like environmental, like anti-carcinogenic law. And because of that, some items can't be shipped to California. So what do you do there? So if you ever get an item that you can't ship to California, you will unfortunately have to cancel the order, let the buyer know, obviously, and then make sure to put in listing that we can't ship this item to California because of Proposition 65. Put it in the listing so that you don't get burned in the future. Yeah, Nina's wants to know if there's a way to know if something is Vero before you list it. Yeah, absolutely. Most repricing tools or listing tools will let you know it. So for instance, DSM tool will let you know, for the most part, if the item is Vero protected before you list it. Okay, about 9 minutes left. Okay, Ruben Red is, thanks for the $2 super chat, Ruben. Ruben says, hey everyone, stop slacking on the likes. So thank you, Ruben. And yeah, if you guys are liking the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Helps get the video out in front of more people. And thanks, Ruben, for the $2 super chat. Ruben was, like I said before, was also at the meetup this past weekend. So thanks for coming to that. It was a really great meeting you guys. James wants to know when I'll be doing my next income report. I did hire someone to do bookkeeping for me, so they're almost caught up, and then I should be able to finally do a income report. Gerard wants to know if he should start an eBay store and my course, Dropshipping Titans, simultaneously, or take the course first. I would suggest signing up for the course and watching the first module, which is just an introduction. It's all about mindset, the right mindset for eBay dropshipping. Then I literally walk you step by step through how to set up your eBay store. So you can do it alongside me. One window open with the course, one window open with your eBay store that you're setting up, and just follow along as I do it. I think that's really important so that you don't miss any steps and you don't mess up any of the steps as you go along. Because there's lots of little boxes to check off and different things to fill in, and you want to make sure it is properly set up for eBay dropshipping. Okay. Let's see what else I had here. So I made a video recently talking about some eBay updates. I released that last week and kind of had a weird experience that day where I was out filming the video and I was walking down Broadway in Manhattan and passed by this building, which is a creative space that is being created by Casey Neistat. If you know who he is, he's a YouTube vlogger. So I was showing, this is the building, and usually there is paper covering the windows. And that day, it was the first day, because this space is just being built, it's not even open yet. There was no paper on the windows, and you could see inside, and it looked like someone was tattooing people, which was strange because there's just like a lobby with tattoo equipment in it. So I stuck around, kind of figure out what it was, and this guy comes out and asked me if I wanted a tattoo, which is pretty random. So that's how I got a tattoo, and I kind of showed the getting tattooed in that video real quick. But people were asking me what the tattoo says, and it says, it looks like it's backwards on here. Oh no, it's not. It says action over intention. So I didn't really get to choose a tattoo. He had 6 tattoos I could choose between. Some of them were like smiley faces. Some of them said New York City 2018. One was a paper airplane. But this one really spoke to me. It says action over intention. Just meaning like we can have all the intention in the world, but until you actually take action, the intention doesn't matter. And I kind of interpret this the same way, and also interpret it like your action in the reverse. I think the reverse is also true. So your actions don't matter if you don't have the right intention behind them. So I think that's also important. So both either way you look at it, I think it really is an important message. And so I thought that tattoo is just really appropriate for me for this time in my life. So I just thought it was perfect. So I got that tattoo. And thank you, Danielle, for a $3 super chat. It will make a perfect amount to buy my little puppy Orlando a new toy. So thank you, Danielle. Says, love your advice, Paul. So thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, but Danielle has a good follow-up question. She doesn't like DSM tool, and I understand it's not for everyone. Wants to know if there's any suggestions, any alternatives. I've been trying a whole bunch of them two of them really stuck out to me. The first one is Auto DS Tool, which is really beginner friendly. So I do have an affiliate link to that. If you go to www.pauljlipsky.com/Auto DS Tool, you'll be able to check out if you want to use my affiliate link, because I do find that it is very user friendly and very beginner friendly. The other one is Web Seller Guru. Web Seller Guru I found is a little bit more difficult to use, but once you get it set up, it does work really well, and it does work with a lot of different suppliers. So I would say it's more of an advanced tool for advanced users because it's not as user-friendly in my opinion, but once you get it up and running, it does reprice correctly and does work well for the other suppliers. So those are two that you might want to check out. Judah wants to know how much the course is. Just go to dropshippingtitans.com and you'll see the current price of the course there. There's also a link to it underneath this video. Drubin asks a great question. Drubin says, in the unlucky scenario when an order is placed and then the price increases and maybe the DSM doesn't catch it, or you don't get a chance to order it before the price increases, what do you do? Should you wait until the price drops again so you don't lose money? So you could wait. I usually will try to wait 24 hours to see if the price drops. If it's not a lot of money, I'll just eat it and pay for the item, and then try to make that money back on other sales. Otherwise, if it's a lot of money, I will cancel the sale. I'm not going to lose money for something like this if it's a lot of money. Okay, so about 2 minutes left. If anyone has any last minute questions they want to bring up, I can answer them real quick before we are at the end of the hour here. Paul L is asking if late uploaded tracking rate is impacting search rankings. In my experience is they don't. As far as I know, they don't. I know a couple people with really low upload rates, and they're still doing fine on eBay. Mine are decent. I try to keep them up. They are above 90% at least, but they've been lower, and I haven't seen it impact my sales or ranking at all. Gerard wants any suggestions for those who are new in dropshipping. Yeah, I have a free mini course if you want to check that out. There should be a link to it underneath this video. That's what I recommend if you are just starting out and just want to understand more about dropshipping. Check out that free course. It should be one of the first links underneath this video. So that's the full hour. It flew by. So thanks to everyone who came out, asked questions, and was hanging out with me tonight. I do want to do this cool little thing I like to do, where if you guys want to give the video a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification just like I showed in that video right there. That way you get an alert every time I go live or every time I upload a video, so that you don't miss out on them. I would really appreciate it. Every time you hit that thumbs up button helps get this video in front of more people and helping more people out. And every time you subscribe, it means you're not going to miss out on any of my, oops. Oh, I didn't end it yet. I thought I just ended it. I don't miss out on any of the videos. So thanks everyone so much for coming out tonight. Have a wonderful week. Today is September 25th. Next week, which is the first week in October, there won't be a live stream on Tuesday night as usual. I don't know if I'll be able to do one later in the week. It's a bit of a crazy week because I will be busy Tuesday night and I'm flying out for a wedding on Friday. So I'm not sure if I can do a live stream next week. So I apologize, guys. I'll try to make an awesome video for you guys that will go up instead next week. But thanks so much for coming out. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.